Hello. And we're back. Jeremy's broken. Jeremy's broken. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Barry Joe. Glad to have you, buddy. We're coming back a little bit. Sorry, we're coming back a little bit late, but also a little bit early. We have the History Center coming in today. I have a full-blown IBS stomachache going on, and I'm fart crazy, so I had to excuse myself. Has anybody in the chat room leave a heart emoji if you've ever had to excuse yourself to the bathroom and then fart? No poop, just fart, just so you're not gassing out your friend. Just throw an emoji in there. Robert's in New Zealand. Robert's live from New Zealand. Let me turn your mic on. Robert, was it just you, or did you and your partner go to New Zealand? Is this a solo trip? Is this a couple's trip? Is this a work trip? This is a vacation, right? Well, I'm glad you made it, buddy. That's a long flight. New Zealand is what? 16-hour flight?
It's something like that. I've always wanted to go to New Zealand.
Me too.
People say it's like one of the last untouched countries.
Savannah said that to me. She said when we were talking at Gatorland, because I asked her, I go, you travel a lot. Where should we go? She goes, New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think she also said Australia, too. She said it's awesome. She likes going there. But then she said Cuba, too. All the weird places.
Well, any place that's hard to get to
Correct.
is good because not that many tourists fucking it up.
Yeah. Well, Robert, glad you're safe, but me and my husband are RVing for 2 weeks in New Zealand. You're driving around New Zealand?
That's cool.
That's fucking cool. Robert, you should, well, I don't know how vocal you are. I don't know if you're a chirper, but if you'd ever like to be interviewed about that, I think that Tom and I find our stride when we talk to normal people about normal things, and then we ask you funny questions and talk about your trip. So if you're in, but hey, have a good trip. And you shouldn't be watching us. You should be out driving your RV. Unless you're on the potty or something. Then you should be watching us. But thanks for being here.
Well, there's a lot of, time on the road. You got to kill some time.
Time on the road.
It's all the same shit. You look out the window, you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you're like, I've seen enough. You can look at.
Are you like driving? There's like wallabies running by and shit.
No, it's just regular highway.
It just looks like just like
Florida.
We should have stayed home. I like that. He's ruining things already. All right, we want to do this. What are we doing here? We're gonna talk about.
Let's talk about Kanye West.
Okay, here we go.
Like what? Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Bring us back in 3, 2.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. So Daniel told me about the story during the break about Kanye West. And
you have to call him Yay.
No, I will not say that. Mr. West.
I mean, okay. If you changed your name, that would be fine. I think Mr. West works. I think Mr. West works. You know what? I was going to
He doesn't really deserve any respect from me.
He doesn't. I don't think he deserves much of anything, but he's a character. But, there is a weird thing that, like, if you changed your name to, like, Drunky, it would be disrespectful. You worked with a person that did this. It would be very disrespectful if that I continued to call you Tom. And you're like, no, call me by my name. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you just keep changing to something weirder and weirder, I'm not playing this game.
And we don't know him anything. You're right, Kanye West. You're right.
I don't care what you change your name to. You're crazy.
He's a monster, this man.
But anyway, the story came out about how he lost a $20 million deal.
I thought it was $20 million, or maybe it was 2 shows, 1 deal for $20 million
in Japan, and the whole story was phrased as if because of the Japanese culture, and they've really leaned heavy into the Me Too movement. Yeah, I'm just reading a story.
Yeah, it was in the Daily Mail, and they're saying that the Japanese Me Too movement is currently very, very strong, and that because of the disturbance that he caused at the Grammys, outside of the Grammys, on the red carpet with Bianca.
And their perception that he's forcing his wife to be nude
because
and
of the lip reading. He's like, you make the scene here. Which I say to my wife all the time. I'm like, make a scene here. You're making us make the scene.
That he lost his deal or whatever. And then that was the story. And then it's everywhere. Of course. And we've seen
Chat room is now saying that she may be brought up on charges for public indecency because of the stunt. That is another of the latest. That's DeBerry Joe checking in. Thank you, DeBerry Joe. I'd read that earlier as well. I don't believe that to be true. I'm just going to.
Yeah, that's another
Okay, because news is not credible, I think I can just start saying that's not true.
Dead internet.
Yeah.
We are getting closer and closer to dead internet.
It's hard to do our jobs in here now. I just have to give you my opinion now because finding the facts, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
So me and Daniel speculated. We're like, wait a minute. We're like, what? You lost this deal or whatever. And then we're like, this is not really how. Like, if he was doing a show in Japan, like the likelihood of someone just canceling the deal because of this is like.
Well, it was a hearsay deal to begin with. It was a word on the street is that he has a financier for a $20 million 2 shows at the Tokyo Dome. I mean, I could tell you, the example I'd give you is Tom and Dan were going to sign a massive SiriusXM radio deal. And I know that SiriusXM's not even that popular now, but we were going to sign a huge deal for $10 million. But I said something that I shouldn't have said, and they rescinded the deal. Do you remember that? Do you remember when that happened?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Put that out there.
Yeah, of course you remember that.
So, because it seems like in these deals, like I could maybe see an investor's like, hey, well, I'll pay you $20 million to do these shows, and I'm going to recoup $30 million, and then them being scared that this kind of behavior would keep the Japanese audience from seeing Kanye West. But I'm like, the people in Japan that wanted to see Kanye West, I'm not sure if this stunt is going to be the deal breaker of like not going to see, you know what I'm saying? Like he's done crazy. Like this is what he's known for.
Yeah, I would say that the Nazi stuff.
yeah.
Like he brought a beautiful woman. At the worst he did on this one would be that he exposed possibly people that should not be seeing adult nudity. Which that's not good. Kids shouldn't see that, and he shouldn't subject kids to that. But I don't think he did. All right, but that's just what he did is he took a beautiful woman and put her on the red carpet. I say that is rungs down than when he had the knife in his hand and the bakalaka. He had the hood on his head, and he went on the show, and he's like, Hitler is an okay guy. Like he's doing the weird. That's way worse.
And so we speculated that it's just all false information put out by him so he could stir up some interest into getting,
Balakavala. I can never say that.
Like getting a deal in Japan. Although, then again, I don't think you really need that. It's like if you wanted to do a world tour, there's tons of promoters that
remember the last
put this together for you.
Remember the last time with him, right after the Nazi stuff. He was having a devil of a time getting a venue, remember?
Because the venues wouldn't work with him?
Yeah, the venues wouldn't work with it.
But that I'm almost skeptical of that because any venues is like...
I know. What is real? What is real?
We'll get whatever money, we're a venue. We don't care about your...
Chat room is acting and is asking excellent question that you guys aren't going to believe me, but Tom can answer it. Tom, what is Bianca Censori? I think that's how you say it. What is she famous for besides being Kanye's prisoner?
In that story too.
You guys aren't going to believe that Tom actually knows the answer to this question.
Her dad's in prison for like heroin or something and then her brother this is crazy, is known as Melbourne's Al Capone and in jail for murder and like he was a gang
he was like a gang
leader,
an underboss in a gang.
Yeah, like a huge Australian gang and murdered people, whatever. So that's her family.
And then she started working at a jewelry design firm, or she owned one.
It's something like that. And then basically she went to go work for Yeezy's company, or the company called I think it's.
Well, hold on a second. Are we calling him Kanye West, Ye, or Yeezy? Now you're all over the place.
Well, I think his company's name Yeezy.
Oh, okay.
So she went to work with Yeezy as some sort of architect. Who knows? I mean, it's all crazy.
It's crazy.
But also,
my favorite though was when he had the school for kids that didn't have any windows. That's the best one.
But when we're saying all crazy, like I believe he's doing this calculated. You know what I'm saying? Like
crazy calculation.
Like he's calculated crazy.
Cuckoo calculation.
And I think that why he's such a good music artist is because of this craziness. He even admitted he's used his bipolar as like a superpower to write all this crazy.
It doesn't feel like I have touches of it, not a superpower. When you only when you have a little bit of it, it's horrible. You need a lot of it for it to be fun, I feel like.
Also married to Kim Kardashian, which I don't like. I know Kim Kardashian's been.
He did variations of this with her. Remember when he had the wax figures laying in the bed, and then he would always do these weird.
But she seems, I mean, obviously been a celebrity for so long and and been a reality TV show personality for forever and stuff. And so but doesn't seem like obviously less crazy than he is. And
I don't necessarily think she's crazy.
I don't
She may
think-
be devoid of some morals that I have, but I don't think she's crazy.
But she was with this guy for a long time. So that tells me, well, maybe he's not as crazy as he portrays to the public.
Or people
and
can
he's
just go way crazier.
Yeah, he's just using...
You got to give in to the crazy.
I
Here's
don't know.
my
It
theory, and it's a pretty
all
easy
this is
theory on
nothing.
Kanye, and I can almost use myself as an example. I'm not a super genius and I'm not crazy, but I can also use the life marker of losing a parent and not handling it correctly. I think can send you in a direction that's terrible, and I think maybe that's what happened with him, because I think after his mom died, we got this weird different side of him that is not. He's not rooted in reality, and maybe his connection to reality was his mother at some point. Because what he does now is wild. But before he would float out, right? But then he'd come back.
Well, he actually has bipolar, so that that's an explanation as to why his behavior is so erratic, right? It's just like he is mentally ill.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
And
it's just that simple.
And
mentally ill people will
and-
have their naked girlfriends make scenes and then go to the Cheesecake Factory. I
and
love that.
And then if you're off your medication, you're not, you're either in a manic state or depressed or whatever. So
Yeah.
you just manic episode comes up with these. Now,
If I get off my medication, I just end up crying while ordering a sub at Publix.
but he used it to make billions and also lose, hundreds of millions. But he's still
Claims
rich.
he's a billionaire now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, what is it? It's like, it's like, the Nazi stuff and the whatever lost him all these deals. But then, what's his net worth now? I think
he
it's
says
back up
2.3 billion. I think. I think he tweeted last week it's 2.3 billion.
Yeah.
Dead internet, no free will.
And then I don't even follow celebrity news or look at it because I'm just like, I don't even know what we're looking at. We're doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, are we looking at the truth? Like,
No. I don't think we are.
If you could tell me that I'm looking at the truth and these are facts, I would be like, well, it's pretty interesting. At least
but you can't.
But then if it's all manipulation and then some people putting out this and for this reason and you're trying to manipulate me or whatever or trying to
It's all manipulation.
then I'm just like,
So you
well,
have to unplug.
all this is nonsense. It's like a dream. You're
Yeah.
telling me a dream again.
Yeah,
so I don't even care.
There's nothing authentic there. No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
I don't even know what and that's where we are getting to, where everything you see.
I feel myself detaching from it. It's kind of freeing to know that everything is garbage.
Speaking of, this has to do with Japan. I saw a meme that said, this is a thing, a cultural thing in Japan that people show up to work early. They park in the furthest parking space. It's called
mutual agreement or mutual understanding. Yeah.
Like mutual understanding parking, where it's for the greater good of everybody.
Yeah, so if you get there early, you'll go and park in the back and then allow those front spaces to be used for people that could be running late.
Yes, that way you're basically, giving them your space.
Yeah.
But
it is speeding up productivity because they'll be able to get in a little fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's smart.
You're doing something for the greater good, right?
Yeah.
It turns
Called human centipede.
And then I was like, I want to talk about this. This is a pretty awesome practice. Then I looked further into it, read it.
4 seconds later, you screamed mad. It was less than 4 seconds.
And then people on Reddit are like, oh yeah, I know expats from Japan. They said they'd never heard of this, and this is not practiced regularly, and this is all BS. Put out.
Next, you're gonna tell me the Brits don't call them lifts; they call them elevators.
And so then it's like, oh, okay, well then this meme is based on nothing, or it's based on some old story. You track it further back, it's like some article that a meme. It's all just nonsense.
Well, I traced it back to it was written in an article where the original photo. There's a photo of a parking lot.
Yeah.
The photo of the parking lot comes from an article. The article was about how this would be a great thing for people to do. It has nothing to do with Japan. It has nothing to do with an actual practice.
Yeah.
It's just something that somebody took and said, oh, I'll trick everybody into thinking this.
So then you tell people like, oh, this meme you shared and saying, hey, we should all do this or whatever. Like, this never happened. This is fake. And then that person will be like, well, I didn't even care to begin with. I don't even care.
Yeah, but it's not even real, so who cares? It's a nonsense exchange of energy. I just shared something that wasn't real to someone who didn't care.
Yeah. And then you don't even care that it wasn't real, and you don't care that
That's blow your brains off type stuff.
So,
and I did say blow your brains off, which I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean?
So if you did care because you thought it was real, but then don't care that you now know it isn't real, and you never cared that it even was real or not real.
Now do you understand why I don't care? Do you get it?
And then it's like, everything's dead, right?
Yeah.
And nothing matters, and nothing.
Well, it does makes me value humans more.
Yeah.
It does
because
make
you're
me,
like, this interaction
this
is
real. Yeah.
Like,
for instance, like talking with you, being with my family.
Yeah.
It is forcing me to be more with my family, which is a lot more enjoyable.
Me and you walked into Publix today.
Oh, I was chirp. Correct. Was that my greatest work? Was that my life's achievement?
You were chirping a lot.
How
many Publix employees do you know?
I know them all.
You're friends with everyone.
I know them all. How many did I chirp through? 5? I did. I think 5's a record.
I'm not joking.
5 full conversations.
Nobody at Publix knows I'm alive. I'm in and out there. I don't talk to no one.
You even use the bathroom. I don't even use the bathroom there. How do you get in and out using the clean bathroom?
I know no one by name.
And you buy the most stuff. You buy Diet Mountain Dew, you buy protein bars, and you buy protein shakes.
Yeah. I give the most amount of
You
money.
Do? How do you get out so fast?
Well, because I don't start the conversations.
No, they came up to me. I got chirped today.
Hold on.
I got chirped today by Mr. Braids.
Yeah, but you already knew them because you chirped
They're
them
my
earlier.
friends. They're my only friends. They're my only friends.
Yeah, I never start making friends with them.
They're my only friends. The only friends I have are my Publix friends.
But you see,
and my 7-Eleven ladies. Only people that work horrible retail jobs are my only friends.
What's weird is though when they're talking to you about baseball and you're trying to get out of there, I'm like, why are you trying to leave so fast?
For you, that was for you. I knew you were going to ask that.
If I
knew you were going to
if
ask
I
that.
wasn't there, you'd
I'd be late
there.
to work.
Okay, all right.
I'll be late to work. I'll sit there and talk because he wanted.
You don't have to do it for me. I don't care.
I thought you were getting uncomfortable. He was talking about how the Braves haven't acquired anybody in the offseason.
Yeah.
We only got one guy. And he wanted to chat me up about that, and I was like, okay. And then he went in again.
No, you just stayed there with your friends. I'll turn around and leave. Like, I'm fine with it. Like, I'll just turn and walk away and then go back here and get to work.
Yeah.
And you could be playing with your friends.
He found me. I want to go play with my friends. I love my friends.
Yeah, out there.
So much fun riding bikes. Would you let me go ride bikes with my Publix friends? Like, I'm like, hey, during lunch, I'm just going to go ride bikes.
Also, if I had to wear the beard net.
Yeah, he had to wear it. Yeah. He has a big beard.
I think while I'm talking baseball, I'd be like, oh, let me take this off.
Yeah. Hold on.
But is it a pain in the ass putting it back on?
Yeah, it's terrible.
So you just leave it.
Yeah, they leave them.
Okay.
I've seen them go. I think that you have to take it off when you go to the bathroom or when like you change shifts or whatever. Obviously, you can't go in there and poop with it on.
Yeah,
that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Although I think I would.
Yeah, I'd leave it off. I do not care about cleanliness.
Hey, I'm going to call an audible, and I was going to do emails, but I'm going to call an audible, and don't be mad at me.
What?
We haven't talked about it. Justin Tucker.
Oh, the
How
massage.
come we have? Yeah, what's up with the massages? It's always the massages.
Yeah, well,
and is his a poo-poo thing again too? I think Andrea told me that.
What do you mean?
I thought his I think it was bad. I think there's more coming out. I think it's getting worse. I think there's more. I think it's room. It's sizzling. It's sizzling.
These athletes, they get a lot of massages.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
like a dad sitting down with his son.
Yeah,
He's like, when a man and a woman meet each other and fall in love.
So they're all getting massages all the time.
Yeah,
Medical massages from sports
You're right.
therapists.
I've never thought about that. I learned a lot from starting 5. LeBron gets about 9 massages a day.
Yeah. But
no
Brady
BS.
used to do. Yeah. They all did it. They all do it, and so then the chances are that one of them, or a couple of them are gonna do inappropriate things or say inappropriate things.
No, my wife is telling me that he was getting into the McAfee.
Oh, okay, it gets real weird.
Yeah, we're getting into some crazy. And then I looked at her and I'm like, isn't this guy the best kicker and the most consistent? Isn't he the guy?
Well,
he's not the new guy that can pull off the 65ers all day long. I forget that guy. The guy in Detroit. You know what I'm talking about? The guy that's like untrained, and he was like, I just pop off 60-yarders all day.
Now, he hasn't been playing well this past year. And they
distracted.
His
His head's in the massages.
I wonder, like, who released this information? Was it the NFL?
We've seen this before.
And was it Baltimore's owner? There's like, hey, you got to eat Tucker stuff? We need him off the team.
I wish they'd do that for Young Ho.
He stinks now.
They should have done that for old Young Ho Koo. Because when he started stinking, remember? He was injured. They didn't even report it. Get him out of here, too.
Yeah, but Tucker's getting old, and they signed him to a ridiculous deal. They're like, get him out of here.
Deal.
Like, I'm
release the massages.
Did it to Gruden? Do it to anybody.
Do it to anybody. Do you want me to hit these, or do you want to take a break?
Let's take a break,
Yes,
because
sir.
when we come back, we have a guest from the Orange County Regional History Center.
Nice.
And he's going to tell us about a famous feud in the 1800s, a famous Florida feud.
Bloodbath.
Yeah, that is super interesting to both me and Dana.
Yeah, I love it. In fact, I found an actual song from 1870 that covers the actual the events.
All right.
We'll be right back. All right. We're still on Twitch and YouTube. What's going on, guys? Hey.
I don't know anything about a song.
No, it's because it's not real. How y'all doing?
Come in and grab a seat.
TC, where's that go, man? Wednesday.
That is Tuesday 3. And then this will be Tuesday 4. Does it air tonight? Yeah. Grab.
We'll put you right
put over
here,
there.
and there's some headphones right here on the front of the corner here. Good to see you. I'm Dan. Nice to meet you.
Billy Morgan. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure. And yeah, they're right here on the front. What's up, Scotty? How you doing, man? Very good. Very good. Have we seen you since your birthday parties and everything? Did we see you since then?
I don't.
Yeah, we saw Brendan. We did.
We
didn't
saw
see
you at
the
beer
fest.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It all runs together, man. How are you?
Good.
Oh no, the infamous upside down camera. Scotty, do you mind being off camera today?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
That's why.
No. You are the focus
I just
here.
reset that thing.
I'm just
too.
the Statler and Waldorf.
Hold on. I'm gonna try something.
I could turn the camera upside down.
No. I'm gonna try to get it.
Look, I do see it upside down. That's hilarious.
Yeah, we had some glitch that's been.
If it weren't my nether regions, it would be fine.
We're about to get new cameras.
Yeah, we are about to
Thank goodness.
change everything. Well, nope. We're gonna have to stay off camera today. Last time I fixed it by detaching it, it was the old plug it back in.
Yeah.
It looks like
it's
it's
not working.
focused in a weird way too.
Yeah, it's like zoomed in and down, but it's fine. That stuff happens. We're doing too many cameras on this computer.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh, we
yeah.
have one out
Makes
there,
sense.
one right there, one right here. We're just. I like to basically destroy every bit of equipment that we have by overloading it massive amounts. Hold on, I'm saving one more file too. All right, let me make sure I got my song. Yep. All right. And then you are on green mic. He's on red mic. Can you hear okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
awesome, perfect. All right, as soon as this saves, we'll get going. Is it certainly back to regular Florida outside, I've noticed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not hot, but
No,
but
it's nice.
But it feels different from
A little wet, It's like,
yeah.
And we had the nice cold.
We still had that fog this morning, which people lose their
What
mind
is
in.
happening? The wizards are here. People get freaked out. They can't drive in it. All right, Mr. Van, we are good now. Would you
All right.
like to begin?
Sure.
Here we go. In 3, 2.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. With us today on the couch from the Orange County Regional History Center to talk about, they do this, it's really cool, this Lunch and Learn.
Yeah, man. Well,
They're doing it this Friday.
You don't have to cry about it. Tom gets really, he gets very, he gets really
sorry.
emotional when we start talking.
Anytime I
about,
talk about old
he
Florida
loves lunch.
feuds.
He loves lunch. It's his favorite thing. He's like, lunch again.
My pop-pop was a feudman. He carried old Florida feuds between families.
Oh,
and
yeah.
His was against the local government.
Yeah. He was more of a, he was more of a kill all the park rangers kind of guy,
And we, of course, have Scotty here. How you doing, Scotty?
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Good to see you, Scotty.
And also Billy Morgan, the CFO of the Orange County Regional History Center.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing,
Hey,
Billy?
thanks for
It's a
being
pleasure to
here,
be here.
man. Finally, somebody. This is the beard I'm going for.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. This is what I'm going for. Finally, a proper gentleman in here.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the Lunch and Learn this Friday.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about.
So there was a huge feud in Central Florida back in 1870. In fact, it started 155 years this month, where the sheriff of Orange County was ambushed and killed. But as with any good feud, a lot of stuff happened before, a lot of stuff happened afterwards, and we're going to delve into that on Friday.
I actually found a song from 1870 about and it's the Barber-Mizell feud. Let's hear a little bit of this.
Okay, this is weird that you found this.
It's crazy.
Blows my mind.
It's crazy the powers of you just go to the internet. I don't know if you know this. Type anything in the internet.
Okay, it's all there.
Yeah, it's all there.
Google is our friend.
Yeah, some would say everything's there. And right, this is from 1970. The artist is unknown. This is the Barber-Mizelle feud song. Oh wow,
That sounds about right.
You just have to listen to a few of the lyrics here.
Barbers and Mizelles, proud and bold. Judge rode in to set things right. Met his end by morning light.
Yeah, he got killed. That's right.
Steel and pride, blood runs deep. What you sow is what you reap. Cross the line, the price is paid. Names carved deep in piney shade.
Oh man, what a grim song! Wow!
Imagine
Holy smokes, where did I find that?
traveling back in time and telling Barber or Mizelle that artificial intelligence wrote this.
I thought it was the ultimate mashup of oil and water. I was like, let's take a legend and write a song that sounds like you uncovered it from 1870. Like,
Imagine trying to explain it to them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm from the future. We took your story.
Oh, well, don't start with that. Don't ever start with "I'm from the future." That's how you freak them out. You start with
You kill me, right?
You start with. Well, from what I understand, and you can tell me more, but Moses Barber got a lot of his money from having cattle all the way up the East Coast, right?
Valid. He had cattle running all the way from west of Jacksonville down to south of Holopaw.
And one of the reasons why he was able to do that, and I'm doing the layman's terms, and we have the details here, is I think from what I read, he was not afraid to mix it up with Indians and kill, and he was like a tough, really like a very rough around the edges, doesn't even cover it, from what I read. This guy and his band of cattlemen, because they didn't like being called cowboys, because
True.
Yeah,
You've done your research.
I got into this, man.
I'm telling you.
I got into this. I started reading it. He's the same way. At lunchtime, it was so quiet in here because we were both like, "This is great stuff."
Well, we've got to the age now where we like history.
You made a little. You can reflect a little.
My beard. I got the history beard.
That's exactly right.
I want to wear my cowboy hat, do a reenactment.
Also, hard to not be tough in Florida in the 1870s.
No, they talked about that.
There was no air conditioning.
Yeah,
a lot of mosquitoes.
There was a woman on I watched a little bit of a small
Stinks.
documentary on this, and she was talking about how, not only would have had to have been terribly tough to do this, but Moses Barber was cutting his teeth and making a lot of money on these cracker horses, which are like smaller, more agile, like kind of like they're like impervious to like certain diseases and mites and like they're like power donkeys. They're like Florida, they're like these Florida power donkeys, and he had them, and he was going around and shooting all the Indians and taking cattle and branding them, because at that time, if you just found cattle and it didn't have a brand on it, you just
yours,
you'd
right?
pop your brand on it, and boom, you got it.
Right.
Well, are you going to tell me the history of Billy?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing Tom. I'm playing the part of Tom
That
today.
he's done a great job.
Yeah,
I'm
he's gotta be
impressed.
doing his
Yeah,
own
I'm sorry,
lunch and
I was
learn.
really into this.
I should have brought my lunch. Lunch and learn.
He had AI give him the Cliff Notes.
No, actually, I read this on an old lady's website, actually. Like, because the internet is so dead that AI didn't know this stuff. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Billy, let's talk about this feud. And is this one of like Florida's most infamous old-timey feuds?
This is Florida's old-timey feud.
Okay.
In preparing for this, the title of it is Recipe for Revenge, because we didn't just look at the Barber-Mizelle feud, but we compared it to other big feuds that occurred across the country. So everybody knows the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah.
And there's some others out there across the country. How do they stack up side by side? And what we figured out in looking at them is that there's 3 basic ingredients in any good feud. And we find it in Barber-Mizelle, we find it in Hatfield McCoy, we find it in all these others. So those 3 ingredients is what we're going to reveal on Friday.
I love
The
that.
recipe.
Yeah. What's the equation here?
Yeah, how do you add up these things?
What's wild to me is
Well,
with-
money's one of them.
Fair game.
I don't need to spoil it.
All evil, right?
But money is always part of it.
Yeah.
Fair game.
Yeah.
Fair game.
But like I was interested in I always look at these type of things because from a creative or an entertainment standpoint where my brain has a tendency to kind of reside, I look at this and I go, oh, Costner, you missed the boat on one because this is a tale, the backdrop of the swamps in Florida and the Native Americans and how and because the Seminoles were like some of the accounts I was reading were that Moses would lose entire groups of men, not just killed. He would they'd get ambushed, right? And then Moses would go and check on his men, and it would just be their heads scattered everywhere.
All right.
That's a Mel Gibson movie. Well, maybe not Mel. He's a little problematic. But that's you know what I mean? Like that is like wild, man. I didn't know where that was happening. Right here, like could have been happening right here.
So Billy, this was which one of them was the government, and which one was the cattle rancher? Because it's always that.
You pegged it right there. So the Barbers were the ranchers.
Okay.
So Old Man Mose that Daniel's been talking about there, and then the Mizelles were the government. They were called scalawags. Have you ever heard that term?
I have.
Yeah. So they were the scalawags. A lot like we have red and blue today in terms of political divisions. Same exact divisions happened in 1870, and so most of the state of Florida was controlled by the red team, but Central Florida was controlled by the blue team, and the Barbers were blue, the Mizelles were red. It started off as a political thing, and just escalated from there.
Well,
It's pretty. I mean, you could even apply that to now, in a weird way. I mean, you could.
You get the right recipe.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
the United States did this to ourselves in some way because this happened in the West
Put
too.
your rant hat on. Here it goes.
And like, no, I'm just saying, like, we all, like, everybody came to the East Coast from Europe, right?
yeah.
And then built cities, and they were like, we need to populate the rest of this giant country. And they're like, we're like, go out there and, grab whatever land you can. It's yours now and live there. Whatever, free. Do whatever you want. And then they did that. And then, so generations of people came to Florida, went out west, and they lived with no police or anybody helping them whatsoever. And then as the United States government moved into town and stuff, and they were like, wait a minute, hold on. You got to abide by our rules.
Yeah,
and then
right,
you were like, what the hell? He said, we've been living here for generations
Yeah.
by ourselves, self-sufficient, and you're going to tell us what to do? You're like, you're on U.S.
You're
soil.
writing my movie, man. You're right. This is an awesome Florida
is a
movie.
tale.
Right.
Just
That's,
have
that's
Billy-
absolutely the case.
Record
Absolutely
all
the
this.
case.
Yeah, I
like-
mean, you got the potential here because he had at one time. I think Moses, from what I read, he had like over 115 slaves, which was an insane amount of slaves. He had
Not during that. That time was a medium amount.
Oh,
That was like a little more than normal, but,
like he had like just, and then he was just moving his way up.
The thing with Mose was, the slavery period thankfully ended, in 1865.
Right.
We're talking 1870 forward. He still had a huge family network because he was the head of this huge family, and he kept everybody fed with this huge fortune that he built on cattle. So he had a large number of slaves before the war. After the war, he had a huge family because he was not a nice guy, as has been pointed out.
Yeah.
He didn't just have a lovely wife. He had a lot of other ladies all along the trail up and down the state of Florida, and he had a lot of children. And so he had a lot of children to support, which he did quite effectively, but they all became this network of people who would support him in anything that he wanted to do, legal or otherwise.
I've always wanted to have a network of ladies down a trail and then leave a trail of children all the way out of town.
He did that, and then he had a brother who was killed by the Seminoles who left a lot of orphaned children too. So he had a lot of his own biological children, either by his wife or by one of his lady friends, and then he had all these nieces and nephews all over the place that some carried the name Barber, some didn't, but there was a huge family network that he was the head of, and it was like almost, you don't want to say a crime family because they weren't necessarily doing anything illegal, a lot unethical perhaps, but this huge family
Untamed.
network. Yeah, absolutely.
And ignorant, I think, too.
And unreconstructed, and that's where they bumped heads with the Barber or the Mizelle.
Yeah, they didn't like some of the guys were helping with Reconstruction, and they thought that was a very traitorous thing to do.
Also, like totally wild Florida, like where people were
Write that down.
carrying guns.
Title.
Good, right?
Yeah.
That's good. That's my name of my movie, Totally Wild Florida.
People were carrying guns and also living in a time that if you live past 40, you are an old man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're in your 30s, you're already an old man and probably lived longer than you should have. People are like, oh, this guy's 35. You're like, oh, but he's got the wisdom.
Yeah.
And then you're carrying a gun. You're like, well, I'm 5 years away from my tooth killing me for sure. Because like any small cut I get is going to get infected and I'm going to die.
Your foot gets infected. The horse kicked your foot gets infected. We haven't seen it. I've been wearing a boot on
Well,
it.
pre-penicillin, everybody just died in their 40s. Everybody, you're like, oh, cut dead. You know, like,
I thought I was going to die sometime this year, but Andrea told me we've got penicillin.
oh, wife's
I'm
pregnant, dead. You know, so like everybody's dead. And then so you're like, what do you're like, so for you to kill someone in some sort of argument, you're like, well, I'm already at the end of my life. Like it's
How much
wild
time do I have
Florida.
left, right?
The cops just came into town.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it unknown what happened to Mose?
No.
I thought that I thought there was a confliction.
We have
on, like,
somebody who's
mysteries?
admitted to it. But do people always admit to things that they actually did, or sometimes do they want to claim the credit for something that they didn't do? We know the name of the person who supposedly shot the sheriff. Is that who you're?
No. I thought Moses Barber went away, and they never knew what.
That's fair.
That he literally disappeared. And there are some reports that he had died, and then there were some reports that he moved, I want to say, to Texas.
Right, and the same exact tale is told about Aaron Jernigan, another one of our pioneers, that big blow up happened, and then he disappeared and went to Texas.
Yeah. What's Jernigan, Tom? What's Jernigan?
I've heard the name.
If you get it wrong, you have to do a punishment.
There will be a quiz later.
If you get it wrong, you have to. Get it wrong, you have to eat a hot dog out of the toilet.
No, what the hell was that? That made Billy laugh.
Billy's got hot dogs. Get the hot dogs, Billy. Billy, hold on. Get the
We're
hot
gonna have
dogs.
a real lunch and learn.
Yeah, get the hot dogs. Billy's gonna make you. He's gonna dunk you in too. We're gonna hold you and dunk you in.
So why we putting me on
Jernigan was the original name of.
Yeah, the person that founded. Okay, whatever.
You're close. You're on the.
Yeah,
you're too nice.
You're too nice. Scotty knows I'm close.
Get the hell out, Scotty. Too nice.
He's a famous person in history, of course.
Everyone knows that. Yeah.
Right.
White. I'm close enough. Famous white
It
person
was
in
the
history.
original name of Orlando.
Oh yeah, the old
After him,
Jernigan.
but he.
Who are my people? So that's all
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
Now I'm
There you
offended.
go.
That's okay.
So Billy,
And this is the guy that writes our
Personally.
checks. So
Yeah.
this guy writes our checks.
I have a question. In our collection, actually, in the museum, there's a gun.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? It's
Yeah,
related to this.
so my other hat that I wear is with Pine Castle Pioneer Days, which is a festival that's been going on for
It's got a lot of
decades.
hats.
Nice.
Yeah, and anyway, in 2013-ish, we had a lady approach us who was a Barber descendant, and she says, look, this has been going on for too long, and yeah, it'd been over 100 and something years by that point, and she says, I have this gun that's been sitting in my closet for however long, and she says, I think we need some reconciliation here, so could I surrender this to a Mizelle descendant? And we orchestrated that at Pioneer Day. She surrendered the gun, and our executive director at the time, Sarah Van Arsdale, was there to accept it on behalf of the History Center, and now it's on display in our museum.
Yeah.
really?
Now,
That's
didn't
super
they?
interesting.
Yeah.
They found out though that it couldn't be the gun. Is that true?
Well, and that goes back to the earlier discussion. Who was the person that shot Sheriff
Gotcha,
Mizelle? It's
gotcha,
like, there's different people that want to claim that they did because that made them the big guy, on the
I
range.
heard it was Suge Knight.
It could have been,
This is one of the things that I love about the History Center, though, is that that becomes part of the story. Is this the gun? Because if this was the person, possibly, and yeah.
That happens more often than not because it happened in my entire life where my
entire life is a lie.
grandfather and then they're like, this is.
Did you know his grandfather was a Cherokee Civil War veteran?
It's all not real.
Yeah.
Like it's just telephone game.
Fighter pilot, Native American astronaut.
They're like, this is a gun your pop-up had in World War II. I'm like, oh, okay.
He smuggled it in his rear
And then
end.
it turns out like this gun was made in the 70s. And they're like, God damn it!
This is a 1990
I'm not an
96
Indian.
9mm.
Nothing I was ever. And then I imagine that happens in so many families where the
Civil War sword.
Yeah, because human psychology, where it's a telephone game, and then all of a sudden it gets to you, and like, oh, this is passed down from generations, and you turned out none of it's real.
Also, I think some families are so boring that you sit around and you think like, okay, this pencil. You know what? I'm just gonna tell my kids that this is the magical pencil.
This is John Wick's pencil.
Yeah, from your grandma. You know, yeah, I'm gonna give up some. You know, I'm bored.
So Billy, what started the feud? Like let's start from the beginning of why the feud started.
All right, I'm going to give you the first ingredient we talked about in that recipe. And the first ingredient is two families that just don't like each other. That's the first thing you need for a good family feud.
Okay.
And so these families didn't like each other for decades before the actual feud erupted in 1870. So when you say, when did it start? There were many episodes leading up to that.
Just nothing quite.
Yeah.
That was like substantial.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way.
What caused it to explode was in February of 1870, one of the Mizelles was trying to serve a notice on Mr. Barber at his ranch, and before he could get there, he was shot dead. Who shot him? You know, and so the questions were flying, and some people were claiming responsibility, and others
Seems
were
like
being
you were
accused.
a lot easier to just like people like. I feel like maybe I shouldn't say this.
What?
I'm
say it.
It just feels like that it was a free time where they're like, oh, somebody's coming up to serve. It's like, oh, we'll shoot him. That feels like it was okay. You know, it's like, oh, he's gonna tell me some bad news. We'll just shoot him.
Well, imagine the balls.
Because it'll give us like 2 more months. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like they were like, yeah, like, it was my property, you're on my property, you're going to do something I don't like, I'm just going to shoot you. And I do that all the time. And I'm allowed to because
but I also
it's
feel
my property.
Like, so it's a time where everybody has guns, right?
Lots of
Everybody has
guns,
guns, and everybody's mad, and they're hungry, and they got diarrhea.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Right?
And
Like,
they have the humidity and the
Never
mosquitoes.
No air
underestimate
conditioning.
the anger and diarrhea.
they're being bit by mosquitoes, and they're dying of diarrhea. And their teeth hurt, and they're like, oh, I'm going to die.
I know what'll make it feel better.
Yeah, and
Misery loves company. I'm going to blow your head off.
And so you're one of the Mizelles, and then you're like, I have to serve this court document
Hello, anybody in there?
to some guy who doesn't like me already. Like, you're like, I'm not going to go there. You're like, this seems like a high likelihood that I'm going to be killed, right? It's like, people are being killed
Well,
everywhere.
that was the thing, is he didn't like anybody on his land.
no
And
way
didn't he make a declaration? Moses said, hey, if anybody else goes on my land, I'm sick, I've had it. He did it, I've had it.
Yeah, he did. The sheriff had gone out there on a previous occasion to serve another court paper.
He did the Tom.
And the quote from Moses Barber was, Sheriff, if you ever come into my herd again, you're going to leave feet first, implying they're going to carry you out.
Right.
So that had already happened, and yet he still went back to serve that second paper. That was not good judgment.
So then after the original
Pretty ballsy, man.
shooting, the barber shot one of the Mizelles, and that just sparked this feud. And how long do you say it went on for?
It didn't. Well, some say it's still going on. So the actual the violence was done by 1870, but the lingering effects went on for decades. I found a quote when I was doing my research for the Lunch and Learn that there was a sheriff of Osceola County, our neighbor to the south, in 1962-64, in that time frame, that they were interviewing him about the Barber-Mizelle feud, which had happened almost 100 years before. And he's like, I don't want to talk about that. I can't talk about that in public to this day because I'll risk offending one side or the other.
Right.
Now, he wasn't personally, physically, challenged, and he didn't think they were going to shoot him
Now
or
you're
anything.
telling us this
but
discussion
I'm going
is
to lose
risky.
votes.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, which goes back to our red and blue discussion of how we started.
Yeah.
That's very interesting of how politically ingrained they really are to
I was
our...
I had just heard from a lady the other day who was a tour guide at Lou Gardens, which there's a tie into the feud with Lou Gardens, and she said that that house there used to be where the Mizelles lived, and the Mizelles are buried there. There's a little cemetery, and come on Friday you learn more.
Small grave is supposedly...
Right.
I think
Don't tell it all, Billy.
The smallest grave is supposed to be the sheriff's, right? I think.
Well, he's buried there.
Yeah.
It's a little family cemetery. But,
At Lou Gardens?
At Lou, yeah.
Wow.
You didn't know that?
There's a cemetery
didn't
in
know
the
that.
garden.
You didn't know that?
No.
God, I knew that. No big deal.
Well,
I know a lot of stuff. I'm cute too.
Lord.
I'm just trying to make them laugh now. I'm just having fun with my friends. What are you doing there? I'm just having fun with my friends.
He's got a
So which family owned the land that Lou Gardens is on?
The
Mizelles. Yeah,
Mizelles,
so,
okay.
so there's a lady over there that's a tour guide that gives the tour of the house that's there today. And she was telling me to this date that whenever she's giving the tour and she mentions the name Mizelle, woe unto her if there's a barber in the group or knows anything.
Oh, my gosh.
These are the Mizelles live. So there's still grumbling today about it. So
Not my Lou Gardens.
sorry, Mizelle.
Yeah.
There was also a little bit of Romeo and Juliet
Ooh.
later on, and you probably tell it where the barber married a Mizelle. Like like the young, some young teen barber,
Oh,
young
yeah.
teen Mizelle, like they
He's just so hot, Daddy.
had a love affair.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that pissed some
Oh,
people
my
off.
God.
Fair game.
So when did that happen?
Fairly recently. The lady that wrote the book about the feud, that's considered the seminal work on it, The Way It Was, probably 2017 or so, she was a descendant of the Barbers who married, a descendant of the Mizelles who married a barber, and wrote from both perspectives for her children's benefit to say, hey, I grew up learning this side of the story. Your dad grew up learning this side of the story. I want you guys to know both sides and sort of dispassionately.
There you go.
Very good book, by the way.
They're actually this story is actually in development for a children's cartoon. Right, I don't know if you
You're
got
killing Billy, by the way.
I'm just having fun with my friends.
You know, also
Would you watch my cartoon?
I will not watch.
It's called
misinformation.
It's called the Lil Barbers.
It would work as anime, I think.
It would Lil Barbers. Yeah,
I get most of my history knowledge through television shows.
I know you do. I know you do.
And
Right now he's watching Landman.
Well, hey.
Yeah, are you on that Landman?
Oh, yeah, I'm on that too.
Oh, yeah.
The prequel to Yellowstone, I think it was like 1890.
Yeah,
1883.
1883.
Yeah, get it, Billy.
Close enough,
Billy,
Billy.
shut him down. No, Billy's my friend.
Hey, you
Don't
know what?
talk about it.
1923 is better. So.
Yeah, I like
I watched that one.
1883 better.
You did? All right.
But
Uh-oh, fighting.
one of the things that for whatever reason
You don't like old people, and you don't like Harrison Ford. And you don't like his helicopter earring.
Where's your earring for? Put it back in.
No Mizelle would have an earring. I'll tell you that.
So I don't know why this disturbs me, and it's perfectly it makes sense. But and a spoiler alert about 1883, but it's been out a lot. But when someone gets hit by an arrow, right, and even if they take it out and they don't die right away, it's a death sentence, right? You know, because
Gunshot.
they pierced.
What, the arrow? No, you break it off.
No, I'm saying just being wounded.
You can't pull it out. You got to break it off and leave it in until you get where you're going.
Yeah. Well, that death sentence. No matter what, you are going to die from infection, and
the
there's
arrow?
nothing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
no one can do.
Yeah.
And then it's for whatever reason, it disturbs me because I'm like, well, this can be fixed, and there's no one can fix it.
But what I would do, I get myself a whiskey, I go sit alone for a little bit,
So-
and then I'd go lay with my wife one last time. And then I drag myself out to an old oak tree, and put my hat down,
Oh, gosh.
and
Yeah,
one
well, that's
sweet
romantic.
kiss goodnight.
The reality,
And I taste that steel.
Well,
Dark.
reality is you get like a 5 to 10 day infection that kills you painfully and slowly.
Oh, where you go delirious.
And you're
You go wild.
screaming, and then
Yeah.
they put you out, and they're like, oh, God, we can't handle this guy screaming.
Yeah, put him on a wagon and set the wagon on fire.
Billy
Start a
knows.
feud.
He's a historian.
Start shooting people.
So
Yeah.
when these people get shot, even if it was like a flesh wound, you're like, I'm dead. You're gonna just die of infection, you know. So taking a bullet in anywhere would be a death sentence, and it was just such a hard life
Also,
in the late 1800s.
I also
Crazy.
think of the bullets that I see in the History Center at exhibits in, what you guys send me or I'll read. And I'm like, that's not the bullets that we know. These are just crude slugs of metal that would just tear your bones apart.
Right,
and
right.
Yeah.
what you're saying is there's a lot of truth to it. It's like you're not getting it's not just like a gunshot wound. You just put your hand on it and it stops bleeding. It's like the whole side of your love handle's been torn off. Like you're just
there's
like,
no fixing that.
no, it's like just go lay outside and we'll start building a cross.
So there was actually gunfights and multiple gunfights with multiple
the
people.
highest
in this
number
feud,
I got
right?
to was between 13 and 15 people over the entire course of the thing killed.
during the year 1870.
And I think that's exaggerated from what they say.
No.
Oh, yeah. Get me.
There's an actual 1870 mortality schedule that lists the people and what they died of and all that. So,
How many were there?
I think the 12 to 13 is fairly
Okay.
accurate during the year 1870, but a lot of stuff happened in the decades before and a lot of stuff happened in the decades
There you
after.
go.
Also, not everybody that died in this feud died of a bullet wound. Some folks were forcibly drowned.
Oh,
I
yeah,
did-
that's right.
I
That
did
one
see
guy
that on
went-
Wikipedia. Like they all gunshot, then were drowned. I was like,
No,
wait a minute.
It wasn't just drowned. It said drowned by vigilantes.
That's right.
Yeah, and the vigilantes part is having like, that sounds like crazy people. You know, like that's the worst way to go is when the crazy people are like, get out.
Yeah.
I'd rather drown peacefully alone.
Yeah, tell me that story. Like they went out and found someone and drowned them.
This is the story that got me interested in the feud when I was a young.
The chat room loves you guys, by the way. They're
yeah?
yeah, they're absolutely loving
great.
this. Well, go sign
Hello,
up for
chat
the
room.
luncheon.
Yeah, come on down.
Yeah.
Go hang out, y'all.
And you can either be there or you can also watch it online, whichever is
go.
more convenient. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
get
cool.
registered.
Yeah. So that was the story. If you head south on Fern Creek to the north shore of Lake Conway, you know where that kind of dead ends at
Yeah.
Waterwitch Point over there.
Oh yeah, I take my boat out there.
Yeah, you're probably familiar.
It's a lot different nowadays, Billy.
It is. But as a kid, we were told that's where the ghost of Moses Barber Jr., Little Mose, was haunting that beach.
Little Mo, that's Moses DeWitt's puppet's name.
Well, I saw it. So just call me Mo.
The reggaeton scared that ghost away.
Yeah.
Fair game.
It's too loud around here.
Oh, I had my wrong sound effect on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hold on, I didn't have on my right ghost.
Yeah.
There's my ghost.
It is the boat ramp. It's
Yeah.
no, sorry. So what happened to him? How'd they drown him?
They tied a plowshare around his neck and put him in a croaker sack and threw him overboard.
Oh man!
Yes,
Then,
I knew that detail.
then he escaped and they shot him.
Hold on, he escaped from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they put in a croaker sack. Explain to what is that?
A burlap bag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, similar to a potato sack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's basically what
It's
EJ
curved.
wears when he comes. What EJ wears when he comes to be on the show. A muumuu.
And then they put a heavy, like a piece of plowing equipment around his
Right.
neck.
Yeah.
Right.
And then so to drag him down to the bottom of Lake
Yes.
Conway.
Right. He somehow escaped from the sack and floated to the top, and they started just shooting at him. So
Oh my God!
Yeah, imagine that. You get to the top, you're like, I did it. Oh, I'm dead. That's bad. That's bad.
and subsequent inquiries found out he did not die of the bullet wounds. He did drown, but he was wounded and couldn't swim to the shore. So as a kid, getting back to why I was fascinated as a kid, we were always told when you get to that intersection, haul butt because the ghost of Little Mose is gonna get you. So
Oh, I love this.
yeah.
Does Moses DeWitt know this? We can use this.
What if I'm like partying on this Lake Conway sandbar and I step on his skeleton?
Yeah. That would.
So and
Make
then
it drop your White Claw.
and it's like so multiple people, like obviously the 13 people were killed in this feud, and then we had the young I guess family members, they married, and then I saw on Wikipedia that kind of maybe damper down the actual feud, but you said it didn't really end there, but it kind of it publicly didn't end.
Yeah,
at that
the
point?
violence ended, but
Okay.
the natural disposition to just dislike each other had been going on for so long before that they just continued to at least poke fun at the fact, oh, you're a Mizelle and you're a Barber and that sort of
It
thing.
must be comforting though. You're like who you're supposed to hate. You don't have to
Yeah.
go searching for people.
That's
to
true.
dislike.
It's innate.
It's like you
yeah.
grow up
You're
and
just
it's
like-
just like there's a handbook for it. Yeah, I'm with you guys on that.
We
Like,
should create a Van Dennis feud at
we
the
can
end
do
of
it.
our
We
career,
can do it.
and then tell our kids like perpetuate this.
Yeah. It's not real, but
just so maybe we become legends one day.
yeah.
Other
Not a bad idea.
Although
Or we could do earlier today. We were talking about we could do the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen way.
don't talk to Billy about that.
Yeah, that's where one of his sons then marries or gets with my wife.
So,
Yeah, that'd be weird.
So Billy, tell us about the Lunch and Learn. You're going to be discussing this whole feud from the beginning to the end.
We're going to give the three
Friday.
basic ingredients and all that. The other cool thing we didn't really touch on yet, and we will on Friday, is that any good family feud draws in other families. So there's some other folks that are going to be there for the name Bronson.
The Campbells.
Yeah.
The Campbells.
Well, this is very
Get me
much
started
like
on the
this
Campbells.
is Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
This is redneck Florida Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
That's why
House Mizelle versus House Barber.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
then they call out favors from other people. It's
Yeah.
like no different than when you go to the shipping people and you're like, hey, you know, hey, I need you to-
tell myself that's your uncle. Well, it's gross. It's hard for me to get past it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. If I'm in the turret and I look and there's a little kid standing there, I'm pushing him out. I'm like, oh, you're not talking about that to anybody.
Scotty, how do you sign up if you want to watch this online?
Sure, you just go to thehistorycenter.org/events, and you'll see all of our events listed there. But on top, you'll see the recipe for revenge, and you can just sign up right there online. If you have any issues, there's a phone number to call, and there you can come and not have lunch. You can come and bring your own lunch, or you can have lunch ordered for you, or you could also watch it online.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Billy, thanks
Yeah,
so
that
much.
was so fun, you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for doing that.
Absolutely, it's a
We love
pleasure.
it when you guys come in here and start telling us
We
about
love coming.
We didn't even talk about the prostitutes that were involved in this film.
I
I was waiting for that. I figured you
Wait,
did your
that-
research.
that's-
I didn't know about the prostitutes.
I think maybe that's a mediocre time.
Hold on,
Yeah.
Billy just said our word of the day.
Get ready.
Bring in the prostitutes.
And could you imagine it'd be rough?
Yeah, but hold on a second. We talked about this, and I'm rough. But think about me.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
No.
a very stinky situation.
No.
It's just, it is. It just it is what it is.
It's
It's just stinky. You're just riding a horse. You haven't showered. Oh God, it's muddy. You got mud feet. It's like, you have the blood.
frog just fell out of my saddlebag.
They're trying to drown me.
That'll ruin the mood, right? Like you go in there, you go upstairs with the prostitute, and then, a toad just fell out of my saddlebag.
All right, we got to get out of here.
Yep.
Again, thehistorycenter.org.
We did a lot of bad.
Billy, we'd love to talk to you
Yeah,
again.
man.
Absolutely.
Anytime
It's
you
a
want to
pleasure.
come
We'll
in,
do
bring
this
us a
again.
story. And guys, we will see you soon.
All right.
Awesome. That was
Perfect.
great. Still on Twitch and YouTube? Are
No,
we
we're
doing
done.
anymore? Or
No,
we're done?
that was it. Yeah,
Bye,
I'm done.
guys.